yarn lovers! Today I'm going to show you how to crochet the Granny's Tipple pocket shawl. So to crochet your pocket shawl you're going to need some Aran or worsted weight yarn. I'm using Yarn Smith's Free Spirit Aran. You'll also need a 6mm hook, some scissors and a darning needle. Now I've designed the pocket shawl in two sizes. The first size is to fit a small, medium and large, and the second size is for extra large plus. So I'm going to start with making a pocket, and the main body of the shawl is also worked in exactly the same way. So for the larger size for your pocket you need to chain 31. For the smaller size for the pocket you will chain 21. And for the actual scarf, which will be made in the same way for the larger size, you'll chain 51 to start, and for the smaller size 41. And all of the details can be found along with the yarn recommendations and yarn quantities in the written pattern, so I will link that below. So I've got my starting chain here of 31, and we're going to start with a foundation row of single crochet. So in the second chain from the hook we're going to put a single crochet, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a single crochet in each chain all the way across. So I've worked all the way across, and you should have one less stitch than you started with, the number of chains that you started with. So I chained 31, so I've got 30 single crochet stitches. So we're ready to start row 2. We're going to chain 3 and turn. This chain 3 does count as our first double crochet, so we're going to skip this first stitch because this chain 3 is that first stitch, and we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the following stitch we're going to work our drunken granny cluster. So you're going to put in 4 double crochet all into the same stitch. So that's 4, then chain 3, and we're going to put one more double crochet back into that same stitch. We're now going to skip the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the following stitch we're going to put another drunken granny cluster. So that's 4 double crochet, chain 3, and one more double crochet into that same stitch. And we're just going to repeat this across now. So skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the following stitch, 4 double crochet, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 3, and one last double crochet in the same stitch. And again we're skipping the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the following stitch our drunken granny cluster. Chain 3 and the last double crochet into that same stitch. So we're just repeating this all the way across to the end. So after your last drunken granny cluster you're going to end up with 2 stitches, so you're going to skip the next one and then finish by putting a double crochet into that last stitch. So we're now ready to start row 3, so we're going to chain 3, turn, and this is now going to be the row that you will repeat, and we're now going to be working into these chain 3 spaces from the previous row. So we're going to work our first drunken granny cluster into this chain space here. So we're going to put our 4 double crochet, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 3, and one more double crochet into that same space. Then we're going to skip over all of these stitches and go straight into this next chain 3 space with another Drunken Granny cluster. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet, chain 3, and 1 more double crochet. And we're simply going to repeat this all the way across the row. I'm coming up to the end of the row, and we're just going to skip over those last few stitches and put a double crochet into the top of that chain 3. And then we're ready to start row 4. So the last row was just the row that we're repeating, so we'll chain 3 and turn, and then we're going straight into this chain 3 space here with our Drunken Granny cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet, chain 3, and a double crochet all into the same chain space, and we're going to repeat this across the row. And again, once we get to the end of the row, we're going to finish off by putting a double crochet into the top of that chain 3. So you're going to keep going with your pocket until you have a total of 8 rows of the Drunken Granny stitch for the smaller size pocket and 10 rows of the Drunken Granny stitch for the larger size pocket. For the main body of the shawl, the length that you crochet to will depend on how tall you are, how long your arms are. So we have given some recommended lengths in the written pattern. So for the small size, go between 60 and 65 inches, and for the extra large plus size, you'll be going between 70 and 75 inches. A good way to check the length is to drape the shawl over your shoulders, and with your arms naturally by your side, your fingertips should just reach the bottom of both ends at the front of the shawl, and this will allow for a little extra length for the ribbing and ensures that the pockets will end up in the perfect position for your hands. So you go ahead and work the extra rows you need for your pocket or for the main part of the shawl, and then I will meet you back when we're ready to add the ribbing. So I've gone ahead and crocheted all of the rows I need for the pocket. That's 10 for the large size and 8 for the smaller size. Now, if you're working on the main body of the scarf, you will need to make sure you end on a right side row. So you can look here, this is the foundation row here, the single crochet, so this is the right side. So the last row you will do will be a right side row. We're now going to straighten off the top, ready to add on the ribbing. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so we're going to put a single crochet in this very first stitch. We're going to put a single crochet in this chain 3 space, then going to chain 3. It's 1, 2, 3, and we're now going to put 2 single crochet into this next chain 3 space, and we're going to repeat this across now. So that's chain 3, in the next chain space 2 single crochet, chain 3, 2 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, 2 single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, and 2 single crochet into that last chain 3 space. Now we've got our last 5 stitches here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to chain 2, and then we're going to skip over all of these stitches and put a single crochet into the top of that chain 3. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're now going to work single crochets all the way across. So we're going to start with a single crochet in this first stitch. We're going to put 2 single crochet into this chain space. It's 1, 2. We're now going to put a single crochet in each single crochet from the previous row and 3 single crochet into each chain 3 space. So we'll put a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then 3 single crochet into the chain 3 space, single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and 3 single crochet into the next chain 3 space. So you're just going to repeat this across. So we're just coming up to the end of the row, and we've got a final 2 single crochet in those last 2 stitches. So you should end up with the same number of stitches as you started with in the foundation row. We're actually going to fasten off now because we need to start our ribbing from this end. So this is the right side of our pocket, or this could be the main body of your scarf. So we want the right side facing upwards, and we're going to join to this first stitch. So I'm just going to put my hook into that first stitch and draw the yarn through, and I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. This is the same for both sizes and for each end of the pocket shawl. So you will chain 7. We're now going to turn our work around, and we're going to be working across our foundation chain. We're going to start by putting a half double crochet in the second chain from our hook. So here's our first, here's our second. So a half double crochet in the second chain, and we're going to work a half double crochet in each chain all the way across, for a total of 6 half double crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're then going to slip stitch to the top of our pocket to join the ribbing on as we go. So this stitch we've already worked into, so we're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. That's 1 and 2, and we're then going to turn. Now normally we would skip both of the slip stitches and then work our ribbing, but with this ribbing we're working slip stitch 2 together across, starting from the stitch that you've already worked into. It sounds complicated. We're going to put our hook into that first stitch, that first slip stitch, and pull up a loop. We're then going into our first half double crochet from the previous round. We're just going to put our hook in and pull up a loop, and then slip stitch. So we're slip stitching 2 together. We're going to work this all the way across, but you're always going to start in the stitch that you last worked into. So this is the stitch that we last worked into. So we'll put our hook in, pull up a loop, and do the same into the next stitch, and then a slip stitch. So we're going to do this all the way across. Make sure you don't miss out this last stitch, because we only have a chain 1 turning chain. It does get kind of turned around to the front slightly. So always make sure you're working into that last stitch. And that's the end of that row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to work our half double crochet row. So it's half double crochet in the back loop now. So just working into that back loop with a half double crochet stitch in each stitch all the way across. If it helps, you can put a stitch marker in that first and last stitch, or just count to make sure you've got 6 stitches each time, because it can be quite easy, especially if you're new to ribbing, to miss off a stitch. So just going into that last stitch. And now we're going to be looking for our next stitch to work into across the top of our pocket. So this one we've already worked into, so we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch and into the following stitch, and then turn. And again, we're skipping that first slip stitch. We're going to put our hook into that second slip stitch and pull up a loop, and start our slip stitch 2 together. So into the next stitch, pull up a loop and slip stitch, and then go back into the stitch that we already worked into, pull up a loop, into the next stitch and slip stitch, and we're going to work this all the way across. Now it looks like here that we're at the end of the row, but we've still got another stitch left to work into, so really be careful about that. Make sure you pick up that last stitch and then chain 1 and turn. And as you can see, this makes a really beautiful knit look ribbing across the top of your pockets and at the ends of your shawl. So we're going to continue with this all the way across. So another row of half double crochet stitches into the back loop. So 4, 5 and 6. I always count because otherwise I end up missing stitches. And now we're ready to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches across the top of the pocket or at the end of your shawl. So slip stitch in the next 2, turn, skip that first slip stitch, and the next stitch, next slip stitch, you're going to put your hook in to start our slip stitch 2 together, like so, and you're going to work that all the way across the row. Coming up to the end of the row now, make sure you don't miss out that last stitch. It's always hiding around the other side. And then chain 1 and turn, and you're just going to repeat this until you get all the way across to this end. Once you've worked all the way across and you've worked into that last stitch, then you can fasten off and you're ready to attach your pockets to your shawl. If you're working on the main body of the shawl, once you've finished this edge of the ribbing, you're going to flip the shawl around and then do exactly the same. So you'll just turn it around and then you'll start your ribbing in this corner here and work your ribbing across the other end of your shawl. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this ribbing now, and then I'll show you how to attach the pockets. So I've worked all the way across with my ribbing, and the last row you do will be a half double crochet in the back loop row. And once you get to the end of that row, you're just going to join with a slip stitch to that very last stitch. And then you can fasten off. So you can go ahead and weave in your ends. So I recommend you go ahead and block your pockets and the finished shawl before you sew the pockets on. And once you're ready to sew on your pocket, make sure you position it in the middle of your shawl. Now, if you want to, you can start sewing from the top, work down, work across the bottom and then back up again. But I prefer to start at the bottom. I just find that that works better for me, but it's entirely up to you how you want to sew it on. You want to, you can use a measuring tape. So I've got just under 3 inches. So as you can see, I need to move it a little bit this way. Let's try that again. So we've got 3 inches on this side and 3 inches on this side. So I'm just going to attach my yarn at the bottom, and I'm just going to go through these stitches a bit just to weave that end in. So then I'm going to start by sewing across, just by taking a little bit of each, a little bit of the pocket, a little bit of the shawl, and just working my way across. Once you've worked all the way across the bottom, we're going to start working up the side. So you're just taking a small piece from the pocket and a small piece from the shawl. So you're just going to continue all the way up to the top here, and then you will fasten off, weave in your end, and then just sew that last remaining side. And when you're finished, it should look something like this. I hope you enjoy making this beautiful pocket shawl, and if you're looking for more cosy accessories, then why not check out my accessory playlist next. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye now.